Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Amanda. So today, this is my first meal prep video. I'm sharing with y'all some things I did to prepare for the week and have some things on hand. I'm excited to share these with you. We've got some healthy options as well as a couple of not so healthy ones. Gotta have a balance there. But let's go ahead and get into this meal prep video and I'll show you how you can get prepared for your week. So first up, we're going to get started with washing some berries that I've got. I've got some strawberries and blueberries. Now, I always put a little bit of vinegar in my water when I wash them, and so I let them soak for a little bit in that, and then I strain them and I rinse them again. I also make sure to dry them really well, or as best as I can, and then I actually use these Rubbermaid produce containers to store them in my refrigerator. You'll see one of those here in a little bit. But I've got the blueberries also soaking in some vinegar water, and now I'm going to get started chopping up some watermelon. What is y'all's favorite fruit to eat during the summer? Because I tell you, watermelon has got to be one of mine. I absolutely love watermelon in the summer because I know you can a lot of times buy them year round. They're a little more expensive obviously during the kind of non-in-season times, but man, they just taste so much better in the summer. And like my dad, he used to always eat watermelon. He would put a little salt on it though. I don't eat mine with salt, but let me know if y'all do, because I know a lot of people like doing that. But here, this was a gigantic watermelon. So I had that whole big giant bowl, and then I also still had some on my cutting board. So now we're going to go ahead and make some blueberry syrup, and oops, drop that in the pot, but that's that container I was talking about. But this is using the blueberries that I had on hand, and this syrup is so good, y'all. You just put some sugar in here, also preferably some lemon juice. I did not have any on hand this day, but about a half to 3/4 cup of sugar. You probably want to see how sweet the berries are, because you don't want to get it too sweet. But then you also would like, if you've got the lemon juice on hand, I would suggest about 1 to 2 tablespoons adding that in there, and you're basically just going to cook them down. I try to like mash them a little bit too, a few of them, to kind of get the juices going and get them breaking down a little bit more. And you're going to let these kind of come to a boil and then simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then that's going to thicken a little bit. And this is like so good on pancakes, or you can even add stuff like this into like drinks if you want to, like lemonade or tea or whatever, and kind of make a fruit flavored drink as well. So one of my favorites is the raspberry tea that they had at Sarah, that was at Ruby Tuesdays, and that was like so good to me. So I love having these syrups on hand. They're so easy to make, and of course now is when you get all those berries on sale. And this kind of shows you after it's sat the consistency of it, so it's really not too thin to where you can sit there and actually spread it on toast if you want to, and then you heat it up and make it into like pancake syrup or whatever you'd like to do. So I'm actually going to make me a couple pancakes. I just wanted to show you, this is just box mix, so nothing special, but I just want to show you the process I like to do to make them like Cracker Barrel, because if you're like me, I love Cracker Barrel's pancakes. Like they get that little crispy kind of outside, and if you'll just like coat your skillet in a little bit of butter and then cook them on each side in butter, then it crisps those sides up really good, and it makes them taste just like Cracker Barrel. So even though it's just a box mix, I put a little bit of butter on there, and then I'm going to end up topping it with that syrup. And again, so easy because this is just a box mix, but obviously you can do this with homemade pancakes as well. I tend to not do the butter thing a lot because I know it's not the healthiest, so this is kind of like a treat, a once in a while thing that I do where I'll cook them in butter like that. Otherwise, the non-stick skillet's usually fine to cook pancakes on, so you don't really have to worry about them sticking too much on that. But with this blueberry syrup, it just knocks them out of the park. It's so good. I cannot recommend that syrup enough. You could use it, like I said, for all sorts of things. It'd be great in waffles too. So even ice cream, all kinds of stuff. So I definitely recommend this. Have y'all made any homemade syrups? If you have, let me know which ones you've made and what your favorites are. But it just adds so much flavor to pancakes instead of just regular, table syrup, or maple syrup. So I'm hoping to make some raspberries soon so that I can kind of try to imitate that raspberry tea from Ruby Tuesdays too. So now you can actually see a better look at that container. And by the way, I'll try to find that link below, and I'll have all the recipes and everything linked below as well. But I'm just getting some strawberries prepared because I actually wanted to make some chocolate covered strawberry bread. I actually saw Karen over at In the Kitchen with Karen make this bread, and it looked so amazing. So I wanted to try it myself, because I've never actually made any kind of like strawberry quick bread like that. Now I'll make sure to link her channel as well as the video where she made this bread in the description box below, so make sure you check her channel out. It really looked so amazing, so I definitely, as soon as I saw it, I thought, yes, I need to put that on my list to make. And we thought this would be fun to have on hand to eat, because like I said, I mean, who can beat chocolate covered strawberries? So now we've got all those strawberries cut up. Let's go ahead and get started on this bread. I'm going to actually go ahead and work on the dry ingredients first. So I've got some flour in there, some cinnamon, baking soda, baking powder, all that good stuff in there. And I'm just going to mix that really well and set that to the side so we can get started on creaming our butter and sugar together. So I've got some unsalted butter that I just added to my mixer, as well as some white sugar and brown sugar. Now her recipe just called for white sugar, but I really like the way brown sugar, kind of seems to add flavor. So I actually went ahead and used the brown sugar in place of some of the white sugar, and you can feel free to do whichever one you like. I just always like to have a little brown sugar in there. And you'll make sure as you're mixing or creaming these together that you make sure to scrape down the bowl a little bit, because a lot of times it'll get kind of stuck on the edges of the bowl. And then, make sure everything gets incorporated really well. You're just going to add your eggs one at a time, beat well, and get those intermixed. And you're going to do that to, each of those until you get them all done together. And once that's all mixed in, we're going to actually add our vanilla in. I just about ran out of vanilla. Well, I did. This took the last little bit, so I probably didn't get in the exact amount, but it was close enough, so that'll work. Now, once we get this all mixed together, we're going to actually start adding in our flour and sour cream. So we do half of the flour and half of the sour cream, and then, do that again. Just take care to not overmix it, because you definitely don't want to overmix your batter. But this comes together really easy. So this was a super simple bread. Now I will tell you that I did forget, you're supposed to, the recipe called for you to actually take a little bit of flour and, put on the strawberries and the chocolate chips. I forgot to do that, but I didn't have any trouble with my strawberries or chocolate chips sinking to the bottom. They all still were dispersed throughout the bread. So it worked for me not to do it. Obviously I do feel like I do that a lot of times with other things. So I feel like it's a good idea, because I feel like it helps, but maybe sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know. So if you forget it though, you're going to be fine, or you most likely, because mine was, so I would assume yours would be too. So we're just going to get this, finish getting this mixed. And I actually noticed a little bit around the edges of the bowl that still needed to be kind of scraped in. So I actually just by hand took and just kind of stirred a little bit of that just to get all that worked in and get those edges where you had little bits of, unmixed ingredients and stuff like that. So once I do that, we're going to go ahead and add in those strawberries. And I used mini chocolate chips. I'm sure you could use regular size ones if you wanted to. Also, I had some dark chocolate chunks I thought about using. I didn't this time, but that probably would be really good too, because I think dark chocolate goes really well with strawberries. And I'm just using my dough whisk, which I absolutely love. I will try to find a link for that and link it down below too. But it's like so handy. I love going through batters like that. It seems to mix it really well. So now I have a greased loaf pan, and I'm just scooping that all in there. It's actually going to bake at 350 degrees for about 50 to 60 minutes. Mine always seems to go a little on the longer end for that. I might have even ended up having to go 65 minutes, but really you just want to start checking it at the lower end of the time, and then, keep an eye on it. So, and of course we topped little strawberries and chocolate chips on top to make it look all nice and pretty. And now we're going to get started with our ganache. Now, I want to say right now, I did not have luck with this setting up. You basically put the chocolate chips, or I use dark chocolate chunks, into heavy whipping cream that's been warmed. I did not have heavy whipping cream. I only had a half and half. I Googled it online. It did say it would work. It didn't work for me. So I would like to try it again with the heavy cream as well. But doesn't that bread look beautiful? Like, it is such a pretty bread. I did have a little bit of stickage, whatever you want to call it. It did stick a little on the bottom. So if you want it to come out real nice and pretty, you might want to put parchment paper down in your pan. And so my fix for the ganache was to just mix it with some powdered sugar. So I just put some powdered sugar in a bowl, and then I just slowly added some of the liquid to it. That way that, I didn't get it too thin. And I think I ended up using maybe 5 tablespoons, and I believe I had a cup of powdered sugar in that bowl. So that made a nice pourable drizzle to drizzle on top. Now, I actually didn't drizzle it on top because of the fact that I wasn't sure everybody would want that on theirs. And so I thought we'll just, put it on each serving as people want it. And that's kind of nice too, because then you can, get it on all the spots that you want it on if you want to. But it's also a really pretty presentation to put it on top too, because hers looks very impressive when Karen does it in her video. But this turned out really well for us. Like I said, I'm going to try that ganache again, but with heavy whipping cream, because I think that's what happened to mine was, although, like I said, I Googled it and it said it would work, but it didn't for me. So next up, we have a really healthy recipe. Y'all, this is from Brittany Williams at instantloss.com. She has a few cookbooks. I've got her cookbooks. I have another video I did of some of her recipes from her cookbooks. I'll link that down below as well. But these are, I'd heard rave reviews about these muffins, so I wanted to try them. They're called Incredible Hulk Blender Muffins, mini muffins. And it seems like everybody really likes them, and especially kids and stuff like that. So this is a very kid-friendly, great thing to have on hand for breakfast, snack, all kinds of stuff like that. And y'all, I can't even believe it, but my husband, who is super picky, and he does the filming, like, you know, typically he's the one filming me. And so he knew everything that went in it, which includes spinach, and he still loved them. Like, he really loved them. So we actually just grinded some steel cut oats first, and then we're putting in the other ingredients. So we had some honey, eggs, we've got some chopped apple going in here. Now, you can also use banana. I'll link her recipe. This is actually on her website. And some spinach. This really has got like some, you know, some good healthy ingredients in it. But once you get all these ingredients in here, you're just going to blend it really well. Now for me, I don't have a Vitamix, and that's what she recommends in order to get those steel cut oats really fine. What worked for me was using that smoothie cup at the beginning first to grind the oats, and then it got it pretty finely ground. I have to say this was the first time I used this engine. I was really impressed with it. I really like it a lot. So it really did a great job with these muffins, considering it's not a Vitamix. I know that's like the top of the line. And I had a little piece of apple there. I was like thinking, is it going to get in there? And it did. It finally got it. So, but yeah, and this worked perfectly. It really grinded it up well, everything. So if you don't have a Vitamix, I would really recommend doing those oats outside of the mixture. But I'm just pouring these into greased mini muffin tins, and you're just going to top these with some mini chocolate chips. Now you could also top them with other things, like if you want to do like maybe some dried fruit or some granola or some nuts or whatever you'd like to put in them. And these are going to go into a 350-degree oven and bake for about 12 minutes. Again, just, check them at 12. They might need another minute or two. I want to say mine went another minute or two after that. But, with anything like that, just check and see if they're done. Everybody really enjoyed these, so I highly recommend them. And they have just so much nutrition in them, and they're fun because you can call them Hulk muffins, and it's like, because they're green. And you can even add, I think I've seen some people adding cocoa powder, and my husband wanted me to do that next time too, because that would probably make them even more chocolatey because he likes chocolate. And of course it doesn't add any sugar, to add just the cocoa powder, and you have, a minimal amount of, honey in there. You can also use dates also, that's on the recipe too. So if you want to use dates to sweeten it instead. But these are just a really good, healthy, on-the-go kind of breakfast. You can have them for snacks, put in their lunches, all kinds of, things to do with them. And I've heard that they freeze really well, as so that if you want to make you up a bunch of them and freeze them too, that would, work as well. But we really enjoyed these. We'll definitely be making them again. And they're great for meal prep. I mean, so easy, and they're so cute in the little mini muffin form. And again, that's another way you could adapt them. You could make them into regular size muffins. I've seen somebody bake them like in a cake pan. You could, change this up. You're just going to have to adjust your time, your baking time, basically, if you do that. So just keep an eye on that if you make any changes. But great recipe. Definitely recommend it. So now we're going to be baking some chicken just to get it, to use it for some things throughout the week. I actually ended up deciding to use it mostly. I think I actually ended up using almost all of it for making my taco cup filling. I actually have a video where I made taco cups, and I actually used that filling to make quesadillas. So that's actually what I ended up purposing most of this for, because we tried it and we were like, oh my gosh, that's so good together. We tried it a while back, and then I was like, I just want to make up a big batch of that so we can have that on hand for lunches. I am on a really huge salad kick lately. Like, I love salads anyways. And having that quesadilla with a salad is like such an amazing lunch. And I feel like it's pretty healthy too. I love to get the Tortilla Land tortillas, and they have very minimal ingredients as well as being fresh. So you actually do have to take the extra step of like cooking them, but it really is super, super simple. So I would really recommend you trying those tortillas if you haven't already, because those are our favorite. They taste closest to homemade, I feel like. So I've got my chicken all chopped up. I'm actually got a whole can of black beans drained and rinsed, and then a can of corn that I also drained, And I've got about 3 to 4 cups of chicken in there. It really depends on how much you want to put in there. Some seasonings. I've got cumin, chili powder, all that kind of stuff like that. I'll have that video linked below, which has the recipe in it for the taco cup filling. And you could adjust this. You could add some green peppers, red peppers. You could do all kinds of onions, all kinds of stuff. So I've just got my tortilla here, and I'm just buttering it really lightly. I'm actually going to lay it in the skillet on about a medium heat, and then I start filling 1/2 of the side. Of course, most of us have probably made, quesadillas. They're so good, but a little bit of cheese, a little bit of your filling, a little bit more cheese, and then fold it, and then I do it this way. Now you can do a whole one if you want to. I just feel like this is easier because I only usually eat 1 tortilla at a time. And so for me, it's a little easier just to do a kind of a half one. And that's the way we usually make them. But you could definitely do that as a whole. I also think it gets a little hairy to flip them when it's that big whole one. So I feel like that's easier. I've bought some of these meal prep containers. I think I ordered them from Sam's, and they're really nice. And they were really inexpensive too. And they're dishwasher safe and everything. So I really like those. And I'm just putting the remaining filling in there. And then I'm going to have this on hand for the week for lunches. And y'all, this is so delicious. I cannot recommend these quesadillas enough. So, and of course you could use that for burritos, tacos, whatever you want. But that's just what we've been doing lately is quesadillas. So I've got some salad greens here, some baby spring mix, and then I've got some cucumbers. And I am totally in love with these crispy red peppers. And then there's the tortilla strips. I think they're like Fresh Garden or something like that. But I'll show you the packages that way that you could pick them. Fresh Gourmet, there we go. That's what it is. But they are so good and add so much to a salad. I feel like, I don't know if you've ever had the quesadilla explosion salad from Chili's, but that's like my favorite salad ever. And this is so close to that between the quesadillas and then the tortilla strips and I don't know, it's just all so good together. It's like my favorite combination. I've just got some ranch dressing going on the salad. Obviously you could use, whatever you like. I feel like ranch always goes a little better with this, kind of thing to me, like when you're doing the quesadillas and stuff like that. But I'm sure lots of different dressings would be delicious too. And then I'm just going to put those quesadillas on here. And like I said, this is my favorite lunch lately. I've been having it quite a bit because it's such a, I feel like it's a pretty healthy lunch. And you get all the vegetables and the greenery from the salad greens and everything. And then the quesadillas are so good. Definitely recommend you try this salad because it's so delicious. I just love it. In fact, I'm probably going to be eating it today because just seeing it makes me want it again. So next we're going to go ahead and get into making some macaroni salad. Now I've made this on my channel before, so I want to actually double this so I could have it on hand for lunches. I'll link that video below. It was pretty recent. It was my summer side dishes. Definitely go check that one out. It'll give the details of how this is made, but it's so good. I did double the ingredients and I tripled the sauce base. I don't know what you'd call that, and I use shell pasta. It's technically called macaroni salad, but I love the shells. But this is so good, y'all. Great to have on hand for lunches. It's just delicious. I even ate it a couple times for breakfast. But thank y'all so much for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any more delicious recipes. I hope you have a blessed day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.